Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Wednesday, it is technically Wednesday, is my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew?
Big win here at the Paycom Center. That's where I'm at right now. The Thunder beat the Rockets.
Yeah, give the people the local time, Andrew.
112 to 95. It's 12:45 a.m. locally.
Wow.
It feels so strange to be here. I asked J-Dub after the game his thoughts on the late start, and he said, hopefully Mahogany is still open.
Did you give him the bad news?
They may keep it open for them. I'm sure it's not open for all the plebeians out there like you and I, but I'll bet you they may have kept it open for those guys.
I sure hope so.
I sure hope so.
Because they deserve it, Andrew.
They do, man. Great performance by the Thunder. Feels good to beat the Rockets twice. They do play the Rockets one more time, which feels impossible. But
at least it's not in Houston.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, those games, like that game felt like just eerily familiar watching them lose, like in the second quarter, like down 14. It just felt like this familiar, just like agonizing feeling, right?
Yeah, this game felt different. I thought Houston was like really bad.
They stunk tonight. They
were
did. Terrible.
Because I don't think OKC had some amazing game.
No,
I thought they were good defensively. Chet was like amazing.
Chet was
on
unbelievable
defense
tonight.
Yeah, he had
Chet
a
was
great defensive game. But like offensively, I was looking up some of the numbers. It was not one of their like totally worst offensive games, but it was down there in like bottom 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were not having a great offensive night, and especially that third quarter, which I went back and watched after the game. It was just nasty. And the only reason they survived, like they got away with it, was just because Houston was so bad. I was going through it. So, like, first of all, you have that lob to Chet. This is like in the middle of them not playing that well in the third quarter. That reverse dunk and the N1. Great. Mm-hmm. Then you get Dub. I thought this was going to be a turning point in the game. Mm-hmm. Dub steals it from Dylan Brooks. It probably goes off of Dylan Brooks. They only showed the replay once. Dub once marked to challenge it so bad.
He did. He was twirling his finger big time.
And on the TV broadcast, you could see they've panned to Mark, and you could see him mouth something like, I can't tell. I can't see it. Something like that. The very next play, Şengün has that huge dunk and one. The lead is down to 4. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because they had not been playing well in that third quarter.
Yeah.
And part of the reason was Giddey and Dort, who were just in for that segment of the game. Giddey was terrible. He was good at the beginning.
He was good for the rest of the game, but
the rest of the game. But during that one part,
during that stretch, they were like trading like comically bad plays on offense,
hilariously bad plays, and then they hit those back-to-back threes.
Yeah,
it was such a funny part of that game.
Yeah,
because it looked like they were giving it away, partly because of how Giddey and Dort were playing at the time. Then they both hit threes. They actually then cut it to 4 again after Giddey has that basket interference, and then Dort missed like a wide open layup, and then they eventually cut it to 3, and then Dort gets subbed out. And then they go on this run. And the lineup was SGA, Kaysen, Isaiah Joe, Jay Will, and Kenrich. And I just thought that they settled it down so much. And part of it was having like an SGA-led lineup going up against the second unit for the Rockets. Like they just didn't have any answers for him.
Well, and Dylan Brooks. Because Shea wanted to just kill Dylan Brooks.
He did kill him
every single time. And I best one because there was no Thunder broadcast. And so I got to just like watch this team like I haven't watched them all year, which is just like right up close. And I got to just like see up close the look of Shea as he is dribbling down the court looking at Dylan Brooks. And Dylan is like almost snarling at him. and Shea just torched him over and over again. Twice going to the left, like with his left, just absolutely just gets past him, and then he hits like a step back three, like right in his face. Shea's confidence from the 3-point line has been on a different level. Like I don't know that I've seen that. Maybe a few years ago when he shot 40%, he was doing stuff like this, but he turned around after he shot it, before the ball went in, and had just like this look on his face as he's looking at the Thunder bench. Like it's in. I haven't seen it go in, but it's in. And his confidence level as a shooter is just through the roof. And it was during that whole sequence there in the third that Shea just absolutely dominated and opened up that game. And then it was really no turning back from there.
Yeah, so his last 29 games now, he is shooting 45.8% from three on about 3.5 attempts per game.
That's wild. That's
yeah, insane. I should go, because how long ago was that? Was the 3 seasons ago, the 2020-21 season when he shot 40%.
Yeah, because we remember thinking like, oh, well, this is kind of who he is now, and then he kind of reverted back.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I mean, I just mentioned that that's been over a 29-game stretch. He only played 35 games that season when he shot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he didn't play a whole lot that season. Yeah.
So yeah, for this to be happening at this point of the season, he's been awesome. It was a fun game because once they stabilized things to end that quarter, they got it back to 10. Then you kind of felt like, okay, that was Houston's shot. They blew it. Oh my gosh, dude, Amen Thompson, who I really like, but them playing him as Andre Robertson, sticking him in the corner when he is projected to be a point guard, and instead letting guys like Jalen Green try to do anything. He was so bad. Jalen Green was so terrible in this game. I could not believe it. And I don't know how. I was looking at the box score. He ends up with 3 turnovers, but the 2 that they counted were late, because at one point in the game I checked and he only had 1 turnover, but it felt like every single drive he was getting it stripped. They were stripping every single drive. And his choice in shots was terrible. Shot selection was terrible. I can't believe they are giving him this much leeway this far into his career.
It's great. It's great for us.
It is great for us.
I'm just looking at Tankathon right now. Just going to take a little spin. Currently, the Thunder would have the 9th pick in the draft.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Let's see. 9. Oh man, jumped up to 4. That's scary.
Oh.
That's the thing about it, is that you don't want to play with too much fire here, because it could jump up.
But honestly, like it's not going to happen. But if they got to be the 5th worst team, wouldn't you just take the heads or tails? Wouldn't you just take it?
Oh yeah,
like why not?
Give me heads or tails.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
And then it would. And then I would take Kyle Filipowski 5th.
When you could probably get him 9th.
Yeah, you can get him at 9th.
Yeah, it was just a strange game because like the starters lost both of their shifts. They lost the first quarter and the third quarter, and it was only like -2 each time. But still, like I was going to say, it was
really close.
It was really close, but it wasn't like they were dominating them in any way. Like both teams were terrible at the rim. I couldn't believe how bad they were at the rim. Houston shot 53% at the rim. OKC shot 54% at the rim.
Yeah,
like just nothing going.
That's about how it felt, because there were a lot of shots that kind of like rolled around on the rim.
Oh my god!
Well, wouldn't go in.
So that 11-4 run to end the third quarter, it should have been more, because you had that great pass from Chet to J-Dub, and J-Dub makes that layup like 9 times out of 10 apparently, and he misses it this one time. So yeah, they should have been up by even more. And then, Dort had some I will say, Dort had a terrible game. It was really bad, but it was pretty funny. Like, it was a funny bad game. There were multiple times when I was laughing because he was out of control, like from the jump. From the jump, he was just a maniac. And some of his misses and just like the way there was one play, I haven't really felt like this since watching Russ, because you remember Russ, like he was so terrifying in transition when he would just be sprinting.
Yeah.
And there was a play tonight where Dort was just sprinting with the ball, and I was like, oh my God, anything could happen right now.
Yeah.
And that felt like what he was like the entire game, like just bumping into guys, just comically bad attempts at the rim. But it was very fun, and we ended up winning, so it doesn't bother me as much. But I this is one of those games where it's like, I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just having a good time. We're beating the Rockets.
Yeah, beating the Rockets.
It's almost more about just, hey, let's just talk about how bad the Rockets are. Let's talk about how, the big three were great tonight. Shea, Gub, and Chet.
Yeah,
they were all awesome.
Yeah.
I thought Chet, especially compared to the previous Houston game, at the beginning of that game, he was way more physical with Şengün, like from the jump. He was much better at battling him on defense. Şengün had a good game. He was much better tonight than he was the previous night. But I thought Chet did a good job. Like he felt much more decisive and engaged on both ends of the floor.
Oh yeah,
right from the tip.
Yeah, the physicality that Chet played with, I felt like almost baited Şengün into playing in the post more.
Yeah.
And he did. It felt like Şengün was trying to prove a point at the end of the game, and all it really did was take Houston completely out of it.
Yeah,
because he was just not scoring in the post. It was just completely mucking up their offense. It wasn't, and it's part of why too. They only scored 95 points in this game, which is just strange to see. Bad teams that don't have good offenses can often get over 100, get to 110. It's not that hard to do. So, I thought the Thunder did a great job. Chet, and Chet's like the centerpiece of the defense. I thought a lot of those guys played well, but Chet's the center of the defense. He was very impressive tonight. Threw a lob to Gordon Hayward, which he said after the game that he wanted to improve his lob throwing after being so terrible at it at the Rising Stars Challenge.
Oh, okay.
So that's part of the story for him, is that he was not satisfied with the way that he threw lobs in the Rising Stars Challenge. It's like, that's not the answer I was expecting to hear.
Well, I appreciate him doing it, because otherwise I would just have nothing to say about Gordon Hayward. At least he did take his first three tonight. Very exciting.
Yeah.
He got the lob.
No, he did not. It was not a three.
It wasn't.
He was on the line. I was watching. It was right in front of me. I saw it happen. He was hit foot on the line.
Well,
he still has not taken a three.
I would say spiritually, though, that was a three. He thought it was a three, I would assume, when he took it.
Definitely faked out the entire fan base with that one.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've been a little disappointed so far. I'm hoping he's just like working back into shape. For most part, from like most of the games that he's played so far, it just feels like he's just moving the ball. He's just I wouldn't even call them passes. I wouldn't say that they've got a lot of intention behind him. He's moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I can say so far.
Yeah, it does. It feels a little bit like he's trying to figure out, where do I fit? Where is my place on this team? Because the team is, they're really good. This is a really good basketball team. And I think it's good for him to kind of figure out where that is. Now, when you're thinking about Gordon Hayward before he played these games, you would think, like, your place is shooting threes for this team. And he just hasn't done it at all. Like,
well, and that's why that shot was so funny, because it didn't come within the flow of the offense. It was like just a random.
It was in transition
three. Like, where'd that come from? Like, I was happy to see it, but it just came out of nowhere because I remember when we were talking to Richie and he was like, if there was one downside to Gordon Hayward and Charlotte, it was that sometimes he was just like way too willing to fade into the background, and he wouldn't be as assertive. I didn't think it would be this much fading into the background, but I feel like he is adding a few things each game, taking a few shots. So we'll see how it develops. But I'm dialing back my expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. And part of it's just kind of crazy that they just may not even need him to be some great player,
Yeah.
Because they continue to just kind of thrive, even though he's not like a huge contributor. Although they have all but once out rebounded their opponents with Gordon Hayward on the team. So
really,
obviously he's fixed that.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
Out rebounded Houston tonight, So
that's great.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Got anything else you want to share
from the game? I will say the way Giddey was playing in that first quarter was a little shocking.
Yeah.
And the difference was that he was attacking on almost like every time he got the ball, he was attacking, which I did appreciate. He was getting to his floater.
Yep.
He hit that mid-range shot. He was playing so well that he actually took a heat check.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't taken a three yet, and he randomly took that pull-up three heat check. Didn't go in. He did then have the floater off the top of the backboard. Which
he did. It was like he had started really well, and it was like, yes, this aggression is great. And then it was almost just like, okay, too much. It's kind of how it felt, because he was doing the things that you'd want him to do. Like, he was attacking really early when he got the ball, so that it didn't give Houston a chance to kind of settle into their defense. I thought that was great. I thought he did about as good a job as you can do within the offense that they had. And then he was also the roller on a screen and roll too, where he scored.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do different things with him, which you need to, especially against like this Houston team who was like the first team that was just like, hey, we're gonna guard you with our center. And I just found it really interesting. I don't know if you listened to Ime after the first game, but like, it's like a multi-pronged reason as to why they put Şengün on Giddey. And some of it is that like Giddey's not a great outside shooter. We all know that. But it's also that they just did not want Şengün guarding Chet, and like did not feel comfortable with that. And so, which to me, like, either Giddey becomes just better in this role, or eventually they replace him. And I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine as to what actually happens there in the end.
Yeah.
But whenever teams are afraid to guard Chet with their center, it creates like some really interesting cross matches that the Thunder can really take advantage of. And Giddey did a good job in the first quarter taking advantage of that. In the future, we don't know what it could look like, but some of it is just the fact that teams are scared to guard, especially when you have a slower footed big. They're scared to put that guy on Chet because they know that he can drive around them and that he's going to pick and pop for threes, and that you don't want that guy out in space, especially if you can, get another guard over there at a moment's notice. I mean, that to me was interesting hearing Ime talk about it, because it wasn't necessarily that, we're going to scheme Josh Giddey out of this. No, it's like we actually are a little bit afraid of having, the way he said it was that he didn't want Alpi guarding Chet,
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
It was interesting to see it on the flip side, because later in that game, they were guarding Amen Thompson the exact same way.
Yeah, they were
on those corner threes.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised he was taking them, because like, I think if he's going to be successful, it'll be kind of like a Zion thing where if you lay off of him, that just gives him a runway because he's so athletic. He'll be able to drive, but he was. I mean, he was taking the shots. He was settling for them. They were way off. I mean, he had an air ball. Yep. I don't get what they're doing.
A bad air ball, and not just some normal air ball.
Not a good air ball,
dude. Dort had a good air ball in that game, Amin, yeah, he did. Amin had a just like like one of those hopeless air balls, where you're just like,
well,
this,
like kind of like we were watching that Andre Robertson.
yeah,
split.
that it made me think of that. Like Elman sent us this clip, like this compilation of Andre Robertson just missing so many wide open threes.
I
It's
couldn't
like,
believe how bad they were. I was like, I don't remember being super angry at Robertson. I must have just gotten used to it and just
hey,
accepted like this is just what it is.
if you want to like Josh Giddey more as a shooter, just go watch these clips of Andre, because
It's amazing.
Giddey
I
doesn't
mean,
miss like this bad as like some of these Andre shots.
yeah, they were special. But yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I just don't really get what they're doing because
Yeah.
Amin Thompson, if he's going to succeed, it's going to be because he's a point guard. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yes, he has to be like what Ben Simmons was before Ben Simmons hurt his back.
And I get it. They have Fred VanVleet, veteran. You want to start him as a point guard, fine. But like, how do you have any other minutes with Amin Thompson on the court where he's playing off ball? What's the point?
Yeah, it's
going to see if he can get to 20% from three.
Well, I mean, I think he's 6 of 47 from three on the season.
647. Let me type that in. That is 12.7%.
It's really bad. And I got to one of the things I missed the most of sitting close is like you get to hear Mark talking all night. He said the word foul so much, and he like really enunciates the word foul. Anytime that Shea is like getting touched, foul. And the other thing was when the ball hit Amin Thompson's hands in the corner, he just looked and he goes, good. And like just knowing, yeah. Like that was by design. Like let's get the ball there, So I mean it
probably feels good after having to like scheme for Giddey.
Oh yeah.
The past couple of months to turn it back on Houston. That's gotta feel a little good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gotta feel really good. After the game, I don't actually even know where this is being broadcasted to or where this post-game interview is going, because it was TNT. There was no Thunder broadcast tonight, but the guys still went and gathered around Nick Gallo after the game.
Maybe that's just like a personal one for Nick.
Maybe it's just for fun.
He's just keeping the tape for himself.
And I got a video of just like them gathering, and they pulled Bismack Biyombo into it, and they were very, very excited to get Bismack in with the guys. And then you just see J-Dub see it, and he skips over, and he is just jumping with excitement that Bismack Biyombo is in this huddle. It's just really funny. And I asked him about it after, and he said it's nothing that they talk about or like script. He said it's just all in the moment where they're just excited to just get to jump around Nick Gallo.
When do you think? Okay, I would guess the soonest we would potentially see Bismack minutes.
Yeah,
would be the Lakers game, perhaps.
Maybe they've been using J Will a lot though. They use him a lot tonight. They use
what I'm saying. Are we ever going to see Bismack?
And we did see him in the last game, right?
Oh yeah, he did play, didn't he?
Just for like a very short amount of time, we've seen him.
Yeah,
but do we see him? At some point, they're going to use him in like a game that is meaningful, I would guess. But I don't know. I really just think you're in a series with the Kings, and Domas is just dominating you, and you just need a big to just push him for 5 minutes, and you just throw Bismack in there. Or maybe you throw Mike Muscala in there.
All right.
Instead.
Yeah, if you haven't heard, actually, let's wind the clock back.
Yeah.
Troy Weaver traded 2 seconds and Marvin Bagley's contract, who, by the way, is playing well enough that I have flagged him in fantasy basketball.
He's at least putting up stats.
I know. I'm deciding whether I want to pick him up or not. I do need some bounds. For Danilo Gallinari
Yeah,
no
he
longer
had
on the team.
29, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks tonight.
See, that's what I'm saying. He's
Bagley
been pretty
did.
good.
Wow.
He's better than James Wiseman. I'll say that. Who's now getting minutes?
Just
got
like
minutes tonight.
one of the worst players in the league.
But
right now.
he traded 2 seconds to get off of Bagley now.
Yeah.
And my thinking was, okay, well, you're doing that because you believe that these 2 spacing bigs coming in are going to make a difference, which I thought Muscala did early on.
Yeah.
And now both of those guys are gone. So they just gave up 2 seconds. They could have traded Bagley's contract this summer. Like, what's the difference? They could have given up 2 seconds this summer. I just didn't understand that at all, to be that willing. They're already a team that's asset poor, and just give away 2 seconds like that when apparently you had no plan to keep either of those 2 guys. But anyways, Mike Muscala is free. He's available.
He's free. And somebody has a roster spot.
Interesting. And why do they have that roster spot, Andrew? Other news.
Because they freed Poku,
who is now on the Oklahoma City Hornets.
Which, I mean, it was once a franchise, the Oklahoma City Hornets.
That's true. They're bringing it back. They're going to get the red jerseys.
I think I have a OKC Hornets shirt somewhere in my closet.
Is it a jersey or just a shirt?
I think it's just a shirt. I need to see if I can find it, because it's just amazing. But yeah, I would love for them to bring Moose back. Not that he would play a whole lot, but everybody loves him here, and it'd be great to have him back. That's all I have to say. And they better bring him back, because now you have the opportunity to. And do you think? Of course, he'd want to come back. You think, right?
I'd have to imagine. I mean, the only reason he wouldn't is if another team signed him. No, if another team offered him like a guarantee of minutes. But realistically, who's doing that?
I was going to say, who would that be?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there were people tweeting about it. You can go. Stephen Dolan was like quote retweeting every quote retweet about all these different people saying, "Oh, he'd be pretty nice for the Suns. Oh, he'd be pretty nice for the Lakers." So it seems like there's a lot of people who are interested in the idea of Moose.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're actual contenders for Moose.
Yeah. I'll just say this. I hope he ends up in OKC. Would love to see him back.
Do you hear that outside my window?
Mm-mm.
Someone is holding on their horn from clear down from one end of the street to the other, driving the entire time with their horn pressed down. I ever tell you my dad got arrested one time for honking his horn too much?
Really?
Yeah, when he was in his 20s.
Wow.
He had to go to court.
You got arrested?
Well, I guess he got a ticket, but he went to court to get out of it, and his friend was his lawyer, who was not a lawyer, but they let him represent him, and he beat it.
Oh, he won. Okay.
He beat the charge, yeah. That game, Andrew, that we just watched, 4th worst offensive game for the Rockets this season. A team that's not good at offense already. That was their 4th worst.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
That's really impressive, I would say.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
Shout out to Jalen Green.
Shout out to dude. I don't know what are they going to do with him.
I don't know. Okay, so I texted you this earlier.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of Houston accounts muted.
Yeah.
So as a result, I miss a lot of things now, and I can't believe I missed this. But if people know who Roosh is on Twitter, there was like this drama on Rockets Twitter 2 weeks ago, and I wish I had been there live for it. Yeah. But apparently, the way he tells it, he tweeted something pretty innocuous, just saying like, "Oh, I think I'm ready for Jalen to be coming off the bench." That was kind of the extent of it. It was during a game. He said that 5 minutes after the game, Jalen Green DM'd him, super pissed. And it turned into a phone call and then more DMs, and Jalen was never happy. And it kind of, I mean, just the interaction itself is super interesting. I just can't imagine that ever happening. And also, if I ever got a DM from a player, first of all, it would show up in the way where like you have to accept it first.
Yeah,
I would leave that unread. There's no way I'm clicking on that. I don't want to interact at all. There's no way that's working out for me.
Wow.
But so I thought the interaction itself was just interesting that happened.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Roosh is like it's not like he works for, the Houston Chronicle or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
he's just like a fan, right?
Yeah, he's like a popular Houston Rockets fan account.
Yeah.
And for Jalen to like reach out to him apparently was like very mad at him.
Wow.
I just thought that was so strange. And so anyways, so thinking about like them moving forward, I'm just thinking, oh yeah, just move him to the bench. Like just try someone else. Try Cam Whitmore. Try anything else. He's been terrible. But I do think now that I've heard that story, that would actually probably have a big effect on the locker room potentially.
Yeah,
which I think would be fine.
There are other stories, as I've come to find out, about
really
him doing similar things to other media members, and some of it in person.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a weird situation.
So he's plugged in. He's reading.
He's plugged in. He's reading. Okay. He's listening. He knows what's going on. So be careful what you say about.
You should try start tweeting about him. See if we can get him on the show.
See if we can get Jalen Green on the show.
Yeah.
That 21 draft class, which looked like a legendary draft class,
I know,
it's turning out to be like it's not that it's bad because there's good players in it, but like the top level of it has really disappointed. Like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green. Evan Mobley is a very good player, but he's not like a super duper star like people thought he could be.
He's not like the way people think about Chet and Wemby right now.
Yeah.
As rookies, like he's been very good. He's going to be very good.
He's a very good player, but he's not like a top 15 to 20 player in the league.
Correct.
Like none of these guys are. Scotty Barnes,
even just the way we talk about
one.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes. Franz, who's dealt with a lot of injuries, but he's still been.
Franz is good. Yeah, Kuminga's been better recently, but
Suggs is going to be like he's going to play in the NBA.
He's an NBA player, but I remember thinking about that top 5. Remember, like the way we talked about that top 5. Leading up to the draft, even after the draft, and even throughout their rookie seasons, it was like, man. And then it was like, oh, well, Josh Giddey, now it's the top 6. It was.
Well, no, it wasn't Barnes. It was Kuminga as the 5th guy. It was Kuminga, Suggs, Mobley, Green, and Cunningham.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's turned into just kind of a strange class, because no one has really emerged, as like, oh, like that's the guy. Because like Scotty's good, but he's also getting tons of usage and like not winning games. I'm just curious to see what this looks like in a couple of years. Şengün may be the best guy from that class. Like he's been really good, but still not like some superstar.
Yeah, that class is really deep because even guys like Trey Murphy III, Jalen Johnson, there's a lot of guys. JRE,
Cam Thomas,
Herb Jones.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice class. It's just everybody thought it would be like a really high level, because like even back to like the 2020 class, like Anthony Edwards is obviously like a star, like a bona fide star. Yeah. You go to 22, you have Paolo and Chet, like just bona fide like stars, and then J-Dub, he's a star, bona fide. Makes me think of NBA Street Volume 2.
Why?
There's just I don't know. That word was all over that game.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
You saying that made me think of Hang Time for some reason.
The show Hang Time?
Yeah, the show Hang Time.
I don't remember them using the word bona fide in that very much, but definitely NBA Street Volume 2.
I'll go check.
I'm going to watch some Hang Time to figure it out.
Yeah. City guys.
City guys. C-I-T-Y. It is 1:19 a.m. The Thunder are 41-17.
Tied for their longest winning streak, Andrew.
They're playing so well.
Six game. Did you see that Sorry, 6-game
Yeah.
winning streak. Did you see that? Oh, you didn't because it was on TV.
Mm-hmm.
All by double digits.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Yeah, 8.3 point differential. This is a very, very good team. Very, very good team. And they have the Spurs Thursday, and then they have the Lakers Suns back to back, which I think that is going to be that's going to be really interesting to watch them play those teams. And hopefully they take care of business against the Spurs. The Spurs have not been playing good basketball lately. Wimby's been good, but that they have not been winning basketball games. So the Thunder should take care of business Thursday. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they look like in those two games against like some good opponents who, like, the Lakers need every win they can get at this point. They're at 10th in the West. They're behind. Somehow they find themselves behind the Warriors, which would have felt like impossible a month ago. And now
at the same time, don't you feel like they're just going to end up in this 9-10 range? Because at least they don't have anyone like biting at their heels. Like the Jazz are 4 games behind already.
Oh, they're not in danger of falling out. I just think that if you don't want to be in the 9-10 ultimately,
Yeah, they're 2.5 back of Dallas. Oh, that's one other thing I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, last week was Dallas week.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was excited about Dallas.
Yep.
They've now lost 2 in a row, and as a result, they're now 8 games back of OKC. As we start thinking, we're entering MVP toxic season. A lot of toxicity on Twitter.
We're entering the Matt Moore pisses off everyone that exists phase of NBA Twitter right now.
Yeah. He started doing that thing where he adds a hashtag to all his MVP tweets because he knows that it's like it brings so much anger to people. But what am I going to do? Like mute it? I'm not going to take the extra step, so I'm still seeing it all.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mavs fans have been reaching out to him, especially last week.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter, but I have been just watching that because the bigger that gap gets, it's just like, what are we even talking about? Like 8 games
back in the loss column. Like it's,
come on.
Yeah, they're not going to catch the Thunder. They're not going to catch the Nuggets.
Oh, I just mean like as a serious MVP contender, if he's 8 games back of OKC and then Jokic is there as well.
Yeah.
We're talking about him getting 3rd or something.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player. And, in some ways has been one of the best players in the league. But I think it's Shea or Jokic at this point. Thunder 2 games up on the Nuggets. The Nuggets still, I mean, the matchups for me, like down the stretch are these Timberwolves Nuggets games. They're going to be so important for both teams.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to see what that looks like because I think they play 3 times. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, they play. Let's see. Yeah, I mean that to me is going to be really important to see where this all goes for them. Yeah, they play. Let's see. Yeah, and one of them is one of the last games of the season for them. On the 10th of April. So, yeah, I mean that is certainly something to tune in for because the standings are really going to matter. I think with this MVP race is where are these guys? What's the storyline? Did the Thunder finish really strong? I think there's a chance that the Thunder finish really strong. Their strength of schedule is pretty weak, and I know that the Nuggets is as well, but I think already having played everybody in the top 4 is just should play in the Thunder's favor if they can take advantage of it. So now the Thunder strength of schedule 21st and Denver's is 15th.
Okay.
So pretty interesting. The Thunder still played the Spurs 2 more times. I feel like I guess they've only played them twice this season, but it feels like they played them a lot more than that. And then cannot wait to see the Thunder play the Charlotte Hornets. The
oh man,
the Charlotte Thunder. I still cannot believe they picked up Poku. I am just Richie like immediately texts me. He's like, "Should I
He
be
DM'd me
excited?
too.
Should I be excited about Poku?" And my
I
answer
told
was,
him yes. What'd you say?
I said no,
What?
but also yes.
I mean, I think if Poku is shooting it, then he's good enough everywhere else to play him. If he's not shooting it well, it becomes tougher. But I still think there's something there, Andrew.
He's better than Kai Jones.
I told him we're only a year removed from Thunder fans seriously talking about the Poku Chet front court, being excited to see it, not guaranteeing that it was going to be the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But seriously thinking about it.
Yeah.
We're only a year removed from that.
We're a year removed from me talking about how sturdy he was.
And what happened was he got injured, and then he got injured again, and then he got spot minutes, wasn't good, and now he's gone. But I don't know if I understand why a team, especially a team like Charlotte, would say why not. Let's see if there's anything left here.
It's great. If you're Poku, maybe it goes well and you get another NBA contract. And if not, you just go home.
Just go home. I mean, he can travel the world.
I kind of thought he would just go home.
Why?
I don't know. I just thought he might want to.
Well, maybe we'll get, when they play us, maybe we'll get some Micic, Trey Mann, and Poku. We'll get them in. Oh, and Bertans.
And Bertans.
If they could put all of them in a lineup
yeah.
against us, that would be really fun.
Well, I was talking about this with Steve McGeehee, and we decided that the other player that was obvious to put in that lineup is JT Thor, just for Thunder purposes.
Or what if, no, this would really be crushing. What if they're the ones that get Mike Muscala? They say, we'll guarantee you.
Just for the, I mean,
starting center position.
I guarantee you they've made the call because he's played for the Thunder. I guarantee you they have made the call.
That would be a killer.
Oh, that would be. I need Mike back here. We just need Mike back. I mean, come on.
Well, it was interesting because, they waive Poku.
Yeah.
And I do feel like a lot of times when they do that, they make their next move pretty quickly. Like they know what they want to do. And I think most people were expecting, they're going to, upgrade one of these two-way spots like they tend to do.
Yeah.
Whoever it is. And that hasn't happened. Then we get this news. It's hard not to wonder.
Hey, I've definitely been wondering and haven't stopped wondering since I saw it.
I bet this is going to be like the PG trade. We're going to get it at like 2 a.m. The tweet's going to come through. We'll do an emergency pod.
L-Man's gonna call me. Wake up! Did you not see? That's how I was informed about the Paul George trade. Was L-Man calling me to wake me up? I was like, why is L-Man calling me at 2 a.m.? What's going on?
He was probably awake. He probably had not gone to bed yet.
Yeah, I believe that's true.
Yeah,
I believe that's true. Anything else from tonight that stands out? This is a good basketball team.
Yeah, it is. I thought Kaysen had a nice night defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Will, I thought
he left the game late with what looked like a wrist injury, but they didn't actually take him back in the locker room. I think they just kind of took him back and kind of looked him over. I think he's fine. So people because
there was that play where he stole the ball, fast break, two Rockets players kind of collided with him at the rim, and he landed a little weird, and I couldn't tell what was bothering him, but I didn't know if there was anything from that.
Yeah. As far as I know, he's fine, but it wasn't discussed post game, so I don't know.
Jay Will's minutes I thought were good.
Yeah.
He had a couple of nice defensive plays against Amin Thompson, like around the rim. They were impressive. He made his 1-3. Boom. How do
you feel about Shea having a Cybertruck?
Wouldn't be my choice if I had a ton of money.
Yeah,
I'll say that. I mean, here's the thing I'll say in the Cybertruck's favor.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish car manufacturers would make more goofy looking cars.
Yeah.
You know, like back in the day when the PT Cruiser came out. You know,
Oh yeah.
what was that car called? The Plymouth. Was it the Plymouth like Roadster or something?
Prowler.
The Prowler.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Plymouth Prowler.
The Prowler was definitely goofy.
Yeah, I do support it in that sense that
Yeah.
I would like more goofy looking cars on the roads for me to look at. Personally, though, wouldn't be my choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's weird. It's whatever. Sure. When I saw it, I just said sure. Oh man.
Now, if he showed up to a game in a purple Plymouth Prowler,
that would be awesome. I'd be very much in favor of that. I would be very much in favor of that. Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be.
Did you ever see Will I Am's custom car?
No.
Let me show you. It's so lame because it kind of has a little bit of a Prowler vibe to it. But people like to make fun of this car as being one of the great cars.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it does kind of look like a fat Prowler.
Yeah, I'll show the people so that they can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one over here with that grill. Look at that.
It looks like a toy.
It does look like a toy.
Yeah, that's very strange.
It looks like he uses it too.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him.
He's trying to live his life. That's good. Where do you think the Rockets go from here? Like, what do you do if you're Houston?
I think they double down, and I think they try to make another big move this summer. I mean, that was what they were trying to do last summer. It didn't really work out. They brought in,
but we thought it did for a little bit.
We did think it worked. I mean, they were 18 and 16. I wasn't terrified of them being the surprise team. It was more just like, oh, they're the obvious surprise team. Man, I let my bias prevent me from choosing them. As a result, in reality, there's no surprise teams. No one's going to do it this year.
Yeah,
it's going to be the first year in a while that no one's done it. But yeah, I think that they like try to push what chips they have left because I don't think you really go backwards from this.
What's the beginning criteria for a surprise team again?
Your preseason over under has to be under 36 wins.
Oh, okay.
That's why like the Thunder, there are
qualify.
teams, that were expected to be good and then were great.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a different thing. I should probably look up that, see if that's a thing.
I was going to say that might be the thing that's happening this year more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thunder would definitely qualify.
Minnesota would probably qualify as well.
Minnesota definitely gets you there.
I can't remember how good the Clippers were last year.
Cavs. Knicks.
Yeah, they've kind of fallen back a little bit though.
They have.
But yeah, because so Jackson Gatlin, he does like the Locked On Rockets podcast. Somebody asked him how he thought the organization kind of like ranked their young players.
Yeah.
And he said Amen was like number one. And that the organization is lower on Şengün than Twitter would think. And then like they like Jabari and they like Tari and
interesting.
They don't know what to do with Jalen. I think that's really interesting because if that's true, you're almost like resetting the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that's true, they're kind of wasting this season with Amen by playing him in the corner, playing him off ball.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Like put the ball in his hands. At the very least, let him run any unit that like Fred VanVleet isn't in. And even then, Fred VanVleet can play off ball. Like they have to get him more touches. And that's why I think like you have to experiment the rest of the season trying different starting lineups. Like you've seen what the Jalen Green thing is.
This is just being bad.
And he's getting worse.
He
I
is
did think it
getting
was
worse.
funny that he told Roosh, this is what Roosh said, that he wasn't being used correctly. This is a guy who's just gotten like to do anything he's wanted for like seasons now. Just playing 30 plus minutes a game, just getting to take whatever shots he wants, shooting 41% from the field, 30.7% from three. I just don't get it.
It's amazing. Wow.
And I bet they don't. Do you think they cut bait with him? Like trade him?
I mean, he's going to be asking for a contract extension this summer.
I know. But if you're Rafael Stone, like, are they really going to keep Stone around if then he like is basically resetting the whole thing?
I don't know. I don't think you can reset. I think you have to just lean in and just like watch it crumble.
And that's the other thing. Like if Şengün, if they did believe in Şengün, which maybe they don't, but if they did believe in him, Amen is like not the type of player you would want playing with him.
No, you need a shooter.
You would like. I actually have started to really come around on Jabari Smith, and it's not just because he's had 2 really good games in a row against the Thunder.
He's a pretty good player. Yeah.
As like I know there were times when people thought he was going to be the number 1 pick, but if you think of him more as like a high level role player, like maybe the 3rd or 4th best guy on a team, like I can totally see that at this point.
Yeah, he could be your Michael Porter Jr. If you're trying to like recreate the Nuggets in Houston.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do this. Okay, Jalen Green is not Jamal Murray.
I mean, they are finding great poor man versions of these guys. They
are really doing a good job of that, aren't they?
They're doing a great job. Şengün is about as close as you can get to like a poor man's Jokic.
Yeah, that one they nailed.
Yeah, they did. That. Yeah, I think Jabari and PJ is pretty close. Jabari's like, I mean, they're about the same. They're the kind of the same player. He just doesn't take as many threes. He just needs to take a little bit more threes. But they haven't found their Jamal yet.
Jayshawn Tate is Christian Brown.
No, I think that's Tari.
Yeah, I think Tari's better than Christian Brown. He has a higher ceiling than Christian Brown.
I don't know. I don't trust Tari. I think Tari is like crazy.
They need him so bad. They do. I mean, he does, but they need him so bad.
Yeah, I mean, like if Tari Eason played tonight, like what happens? Like what was he doing?
I mean, well, one thing is like you don't have to play Dillon Brooks so much, because one thing I thought has been interesting, I've been reading some Houston fan comments over this past week. They're not as thrilled with the Dillon Brooks experience and contract as they once were.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you remember at the beginning of the season, not just Rockets fans, but majority of the NBA media was like, hey, maybe they were right.
Yeah.
This guy that everyone laughed at in the playoffs, maybe he is worth $20 million a year. He's looking great, and he was making all his threes.
Hey,
and
things look good when the shots are going in, man. Things look good when the shots are going in.
Well, the thing is, it's not just that he's regressed there. It's that, like, defensively, like, I mean, you saw it tonight. Like, okay, well, he can't stop Shea, which, I mean, a lot of guys can't stop Shea.
Yeah.
But he didn't even really make it hard on him. So at that point, okay. So there's one person he can't guard. And I feel like there's a lot more people that Dillon Brooks can't guard.
Yeah, and he just invites just criticism and invites just chaos into, wherever he's at, to the point where the Memphis Grizzlies said he's not coming back under any circumstances. Like there are no circumstances that he would ever that we would ever want him back here.
Maybe they were onto something.
Hey, I'm glad he ended up in Houston.
He actually is still shooting well. He's shooting 40% for the season, but even in his last 18 games, he's shooting 40%. 4 for 5 tonight. Well, maybe he's good, Andrew. But anyways, Tari, someone else you can throw on Shea, because clearly it wasn't working with Dillon Brooks, and they didn't have really that many options behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you hope that Amen can be, and he's had like real defensive flashes in his rookie season.
Yeah. I think he'll be a good defender. It's just like, what does the fit even look like?
Yeah.
Is going to be the struggle. Something that the Thunder don't have to worry about at all because they have just their three best players in place. I mean, it is kind of crazy because they did run their kind of rebuilds in tandem, like side by side, and the Thunder had the advantage of having Shea, obviously, which is clearly a massive advantage. But to come away from those drafts, really just from the one draft, with both J-Dub and Chet, I mean, like that.
I mean, they're better than any player on the Rockets roster,
without a doubt.
Chet and J-Dub.
Without a doubt.
I would take both of those guys over Şengün right now, and I think the majority of teams would too, because Şengün, as good as he is,
absolutely they would.
We've talked about it before that like he does kind of box you in a certain way in terms of how you have to build, and as you're building that, he has to be a certain level of great to make all of that work.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder for him to like slide back into a secondary role because you're designing so much of the offense around him.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like, even if you think Şengün is better than J-Dub right now, like J-Dub is just so easy to plug and play basically anywhere in the league right now.
Yeah.
And then Chet is I just think he's obviously better, but
yeah. And when it comes down to it, just easier to build the team around either one of those guys.
Yeah. Anytime you get a guy who, like Chet, as a rookie, 100 threes, 100 blocks, those are some of my favorite kinds of players.
150 blocks.
150 blocks. Wait, is 150 blocks 150 threes? 55 burgers?
55 fries. No, it's no. I mean, he has 100. He had 100 threes, but 150 blocks.
Okay, so he can get to 150, 150.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely could. And if he plays all those games, he probably will. How many threes?
He's also at 154 assists. Is that anything?
154 assists, 154. Yeah. I think. Yeah. I mean, that's something to me. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. All right. It's 1:41 a.m. I gotta go edit this podcast and go home.
I gotta go.
Thanks so much for listening to our show. Hope you guys are doing great. We have a lot of people listening live here. I don't know. Where are you guys at? Let us know where you're at in the chat.
And while you're letting us know, a video game recommendation. Playing a new game on Switch, but it's available on all consoles, I think. It's called Balatro.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
It's poker.
Yeah.
But it's a roguelike, which I know you don't know what that is, but
nope.
It's a poker roguelike. If that sounds interesting to you, go check it out.
Poker roguelike. I feel like you're trying to mess with me because you know how tired I am right now. I feel like you're making up words right now. We have Isaiah in St. Louis. We have Devin in Los Angeles. We have Albasa in Milano. Wow. Sal in Canberra. We have T Red from New Zealand. Neil in Spain. Smooth Criminal in Australia. We have T Dot in Miami checking in. Wow. All over the world listening to Down to Dunk.
I hope Michele's watching live because I just checked. It's 8:42 a.m. in Italy.
Hey, shout out to
What else
Michele.
is he doing?
We have Grant in Nompton. We have Cortland in Alberta, Canada. Costa Rica. Singapore. Wow.
This is like all international Down to Dunk listeners.
Yeah,
I haven't seen one Edmund.
Well, Nompton.
Is Nompton Edmund?
Norman.
Oh, it's Norman? Okay. Don't Edmund my Norman.
Don't Edmund my Norman.
Do people still have that sticker?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Hey, let me know. If any of you have a Don't Edmund my Norman bumper stickers, let me know. I'll pay top dollar for it.
Oh, man. Hope you guys are just having a great day. Let's see. 12 count says, I'm in Richmond and I'm only up because I have a 3-month-old who won't sleep right now. Dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
Been there, man. Definitely been there. Malaysia. Greg
Wow, cool.
Porch
On
is in
tour.
Malaysia. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube right now, just hit the like button. That would be my only request. Hit the like button. And if you are listening to the pod, be sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check it out. You guys have an awesome rest of your night or day or whenever you're listening to this. And we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.